Hello, everybody. Welcome for race 16 of the FAI World Series in Australia. I am Jean David, and tonight I am with Nick to comment this last race. Hello, Nick. How are you?
Good, thank you, Jean-David. Yeah, I have flown here, as I was saying before, 2 years ago. I've never seen it on the Condor side, though.
Okay, so you will explain us a bit how it is to fly in Australia, and yeah, let's go to Condor 2 tonight. As we said, the race is in Australia. So this is in Australia because in the previous days there was a World Gliding Championship in this airfield, and tonight we wanted to do a race that looks like the real races during the World Gliding Championship. So you will see the race in a few minutes, and you will see that the task has been drawn approximately like the race were in the World Gliding Championship. So we are in Australia. Do you recognize the landscapes or the field of Narromine, Nick?
Oh, it looks pretty flat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, obviously, compared to the New Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't really recognize anything in particular from here, but the great thing about Narromine, I flew there for 2 weeks, was, and I'd done one land out, I hadn't done a huge amount of cross-country flying, but it was just really good confidence boost knowing that there's flat paddocks everywhere, and most places you can land. So at least you can just concentrate on flying the thermals and the clouds and not worrying about the landouts too much.
Yeah, looks like you have plenty of space to land out in this beautiful landscape. So tonight, as you will see, there is no mountains, so we will fly flatlands. Tonight, the weather, as we can see it, the wind comes from the southwest from 18 kilometers per hour. We expect thermals between 2 and 3.5 meters per second, and the ceiling should be 2,305 50 meters from the ground. So we are in the southeast of Australia, as we saw, and here is the task. So the task starts in Narromine, just here. Yeah, so it went away. So the task starts right here. We are going to the north for a first leg of 21 kilometers to Buda. So the turn points we can see here are the real turn points used in the World Gliding Championships. That's why we wanted to do as close as the reality. Then the pilots will go to the west to Meringo for a leg of 47 kilometers and go back to north for 10.3, Müllengöder for 52 kilometers. Then we go straight to east to turn point 4 for 61 kilometers. Then we go back to a repointing point for 54 kilometers, and then just a small leg of 20 kilometers from the reporting point to Narromine. So the overall task is 256 kilometers. Looking at the performance of the pilots and the glider, we expect an average speed about 140 kilometers per hour. So maybe a race between 1 hour and 30 minutes to 1 hour and 50 minutes. We will see what the pilots will do. So just speaking about some rules tonight, we are flying 15 meters class. So we will see mostly GR3 and Ventus 3 tonight. The start is maximum altitude 500 meters and speed 170 kilometers per hour. Well, you know anything I know about this final race in Australia? Yeah, the race 16. What an amazing journey all along the year. We've been through a lot of countries. It's amazing to finish right here where the World Gliding Championship has been made in the last 2 weeks. Have you seen the result of the World Gliding Championship, Nick?
Yeah, I did follow it. I mean, I just check the scores every day, like I think you said you did as well.
Yeah.
Uh, the live tracking, I had a quick look at it once, but it's not really in our time zone. But it was just a bit hard to figure out what was going on
Yeah.
from where I looked at it. But I've been listening to the updates or reading the updates of Adam Woolley, who was in the 15-meter class, and Bruce Taylor, who was in the standard class, and they gave us a good idea of how it was for them. And like, even though it's flatlands and basically it looks like the conditions should be the same in everywhere, and I suppose they are in Condor, there was quite a lot of variations. There's the classic uh, tactics of when to start, because if you start early, then you're marking the thermals for other people behind you. But if you start late, you might not have enough time to finish the task. But there was also, like people getting stuck in low climbs, that kind of thing. But also if they managed to hook up with a convergence line, or there was bad weather that blotted things out and they get stuck in one climb, that's all they needed to get to the next bit of weather. And yeah, it was just like when you read those updates, you realize there's a bit more going on than just flying from one thermal to the next.
Yeah, and just as our race are made with the best virtual pilot in the World Gliding Championship, it was the best real pilot in the world. So the mistake should cost a lot of points. And as we saw, just for a small recap of the ranking. So overall, the Germany is the world team champion for this year. And in different categories, in the 15-meter class at the end, Sebastian Kawa won the first place. Then there were two German pilots, Henry Biller and Stefan Göttler. There are not a lot of points, the difference. There are only 20 points between the third and the second, and there are 130 points between the first and the second, and there is almost 9,000 points at the end of the 2 weeks. So the gap between the pilots are really, really close in all categories. In standard class, Thomas Scott from Great Britain is the first one, then followed by Gregory Bicrot and Enrique Levin, so respectively Australia and Germany for second and third place. And in the club class, James Nugent from Australia won with his LS3, and Uwe Wallig Stefan Langer from Germany won the second and the third place, also with the LS3. And again, the gap between all the pilots are really, really close. It was an amazing race to see and a competition to see, because I don't know for you, Nick, but at the end of each day, I thought if I was the first, landing out in the first kilometers, your race and your competition is ruined at all. There is just 20 points between me and the next one. A small mistake can ruin everything. It should
Yep.
be very stressful.
Yeah, I remember Adam Woolley, who he was doing pretty well in the whole competition, and I think he finished seventh. But yeah, I mean, I think it was probably less than 200 points between him and Kawa in the lead, or something like that. Anyway, at least in the recent tasks, it wasn't far. And yeah, near the end of the competition, he said, "Well, I've got 97.5% of the Kawa's score, so like it was pretty close." Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely no room for error.
yeah. And when you are looking to the overall rankings in the World Series from the FAI in Condor, which means in our competition, the gaps are also really, really close, because the first pilot before this race is Witold Rozak from Poland. He is 13,028 points, and the next one is from Australia, David Renman, Romeo Echo Delta, and is just 70 points less than
Behind.
the first behind. Yeah. So regarding the 13,000 points, there is just 70 points gap between the first and the second. So just as the World Gliding Championship in real life, this race can be decisive for some of the pilots, and the final winner is not decided yet. So we will have an idea of who will be the first pilot tonight, especially if Vitold arrives first tonight. It will be over. But the final results will be just released tomorrow, because there are also other servers who are running in the night and early tomorrow. So the final winner will be discovered just tomorrow.
And I guess Condors, it's similar racing in Condor as it is in real life, in the fact that like if you're charging on the flatlands and you're hoping to get a good strong climb and it's really weak and you think no, I'll keep going, there'll be a better one coming up, and then you're lower and lower, like you at some point got to decide, okay, I've got to just slow down and take the slow climb. I'm going to lose a lot of time, but at least I'll have a chance of making it to goal if I get back up. So
Yeah,
you got to,
exactly.
yeah, decide whether to keep pushing hard or know when to, yeah, be more sensible.
Yeah, exactly. You are totally right. Tonight, it should be a bit easier than in real life because we can see that the pilot, Witold Rozak, that we can see right now. So the current first position in the FAI World Series competition. We are about 2,600 meters from for the cloud base, and yeah, average value here is about 3 meters, I guess. So great thermal, great ceiling. And when you have this type of weather, you have plenty of time to decide if you are taking a cumulus or not. But as you said, don't miss the good one, because if you are in a trap low and you don't find anything, that's where you can lose.
I remember when I was flying in Narromine that a couple of times I was thermaling with a wedgie, and those are usually the good climbs when there's a wedgie sticking around. Like they're usually in the good places. So yeah, wedge-tailed eagle. If you,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I explained that.
Yeah, and in Condor and in this type of weather, which is great, is you can see the cumulus very well defined, and you can see if there is cumulus which is just creating or if it's dying, because the shape are well known by the pilots if it is a begin cumulus or late cumulus. So yeah, I think there will be a great race with good average speeds. Maybe we underestimate it because when we are doing some trials in this landscape, we are flying just a few pilots, and when you are flying with a lot of pilots like this, you are able to select better your cumulus and your lifts. So the average speed should be a bit higher than we can expect, but we will see. Maybe Tim will give us a time before the opening start line. 1 minute before starts. We
It
can
did
see.
seem to be. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say it seemed to be a common theme, like the starting time. I mean, we're doing a Grand Prix race start now, I guess, but like with these guys, they would often be flying in teams. Often you see the same country placed next to each other, more often than not in the rankings. But if you have a bunch of pilots in front of you showing you the climate, it can make things a lot easier. And there was, yeah, like often the Australians are just going when they thought it was the best time, and it wasn't always necessarily the best tactic, because it's best to go late, even though you're running out of day at the end, just because you can, yeah, jump ahead of it as the race goes on. I guess we don't have to worry about that at this time.
Yeah, so maybe in just a few seconds, 15 seconds right now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Race is on. And here we are. Oh, we have two pilots really late. Tango Papa and Victor 88. They missed the start. Titev Jean-Noël, Victor 88. The other pilots went really great. Another pilot, 5-6, is late. And yeah, we can see really well-known competition numbers. Alpha Mike, Arne Martin, Witold Rozak. I saw Emmanuel Cartier, Marcin May, Tim Madsen. Anna Pierluigi. Alpha Echo X-Ray Alex. And Peter Whiskey Romeo.
So it's a relatively low height for Australian flying, but yeah, the clouds are a long way above, I guess.
Yeah, so the maximum altitude to cross the start line was set to 1,500 meters. That's why they are a bit low, but I guess they will find the next cumulus to climb up to 2,003 or 400 meters to be in full potential energy. So here with Piotr, we can see that we have a Polish pilots from the Polish gang, and just as you said, yeah, we can see that there are some teams building in the game. The Polish pilots, we know that they are training together. They are making some strategies, and they are flying very, very well. We don't know if they are speaking in another software to be able to communicate during the race, but at least we can see that they are following the same path, and they are helping each other very well. And that's accepted in our competition. Tim Madsen in his GS3, great start. He's between two giggles, one in the left and one in the right. They are following the first leg, just 20 kilometers before, 21.2 kilometers to be precise, before turn point 1. And then Luigi has a bit trouble to find the center of this thermal, because we can see with the lines that the part of the thermal where it climbs is not very well defined. It's not homogeneous. So apparently the thermal are not that easy to find and to get. Yeah, the average climb was not that great. Vic Schoenemakers, GS3, first position, took a great start, going fast to the next cumulus, and is almost already to turn point 1. Yeah, so the average speed right now are a bit amazing, because they didn't take any thermals to 210 kilometers per hour.
Yeah,
It won't be that at the end of this race, I guess.
So you're saying that Condor, the glide ratio that you get between thermals is just what the glider has, like it's basically neutral air between thermals?
Yeah. This is one of the main gap between the reality and Condor, which is when you have a thermal, you have the air mass which is going up in the middle, and it's going down in the corner, in the other parts. So around the part that is climbing, you have drowning lift, drowning air mass. But except from these thermals, you don't have any air mass movement, except from the wind, I speak, but any vertical movement. So when you are going from a cumulus to another, the performance of your glide ratio is just the performance of the polar of the glider. You can see maybe, Tim, if you are going a bit more horizontal to see the lines from the side, not from above, but from the, yes, you may see that the lines are just straight lines drawn from a turn point to the other. And that's one of the, not an issue, but the difference between the reality and Condor. We know that there will be major improvements in the weather in the next version of Condor, but I don't know the precise details about it. Maybe they will implement global vertical air mass movement. And right now, straight from the start line to turn point one, Vic Schoenemakers turning the turn points with Papa Mike 6 and Juliet Tango, followed by 6 Bravo Mike. So 4 pilots already turn the turn point one, 22 kilometers flown. Chris Pearson, they flown straight. Okay, so some gaggles are forming, yeah, just after them. Very interesting to see because they start to climb, and they have a great value. Mihalik Nos, GS3 average value values between, I guess, 3.2 to 3.3 meters per second. So looks like a great climb. And all the other pilots in the left are leaving these thermals to join the main one. I don't know if you have seen some pictures of the competition in the real life, but Stefan Langer sent some photos on the internet, and we can see all the pilots and all the gliders in the same thermal. It should be amazing to see. I just saw it in Condor with my VR headset, and it was already impressive. But there is no risk to die. But in real life, so many pilots in the same thermal should be very impressive.
Totally. Yeah, they did have different tasks for each of the classes, so at least that mixed it up. I remember there was one day where there was really good cumulus clouds, but if you looked at the satellite picture, it wasn't on the whole course line. It was just like south of one area. And the 15-meter and standard classes had a fantastic day because they went to their good MS, but the club class got sent up to the north where it was all blue.
Unfortunately, in this position, you can see that your area is not good. you you think about the task setter and you say, oh shit, I should have been flying in a standard class tonight or
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, the other thing I remember when I was flying at Narromine, there was a competition on, but because I hadn't done any gliding competitions before, I wasn't able to go in it. So I just flew my own tasks like off the route of the competition. But the guys would look at my statistics on CU afterwards, and the key things they'd be looking at, as far as I remember, was like the percentage of the time that you spend climbing. Because
Yeah.
if you want to get out of the thermal as fast as you can and just get back on the road, so you find a thermal that gets you up quick. But the other one was the glide ratio between climbs, and that just means that you're picking a lifty line if you get a good glide ratio. I mean, obviously, a good glider helps, but yeah, it's interesting with Condor that it doesn't have that, so it would make it a lot more interesting. But also, I guess if you can't model that accurately, it might be annoying because it'd be a little bit
Yeah.
random or whatever. Like if you can't, yeah. So I can see why they might have done it that way.
Yeah, and I think that is not that easy to implement.
Totally, yeah.
Because if it was easy, it would be in Condor 2. So it took many years to implement, I guess. Justin, maybe you can go back to the 2D view. Sorry, we didn't speak about that. But some pilots, approximately 10 pilots, turn the turn point one. The others are in the same gaggle, the same area just before turn point one, climbing to the ceiling because the start line maximum altitude was 1,500 meters and the ceiling is about 1,000 meters higher. So they need to climb, and we can see that the highest pilot is Mike X-Ray at 2,400 meters, and the other pilots who cross the first turn points are lower, but I can't see their altitude right now. But yeah, some pilots are reaching the ceiling. and maybe it will be the time for them to go to the next turn point. Thank you, team, for the 2D view. Yeah, as we can see, this is the gaggle. This is the main lift of this first leg. And on the right, some of the pilots who decided to go straight and find another cumulus.
I'm looking at that pilot, Juliet Tango, on the far left. That seems to be quite a long way ahead of everyone, and I'm wondering how high they are.
Yeah, I might find this information. Let's see. Wait. And Juliet Tango is only 600 meters right now.
That makes
Yanis
sense.
Teteris.
That's good. That's a good display of confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, and it may be a risky strategy because, as we saw with Donna Pierluigi earlier, the thermals looks not that easy to take and to keep.
The center, yeah.
So yeah, to center, and if you are betting on getting a thermal that can catch you on the ground and climbs you up to the ceiling, it should be difficult because Juliet Tango right now has 2,000 meters to climb, and with just one thermal, seems to be very difficult. So he knows by advance that he will need to leave the thermals he will find before reaching the ceiling. Yeah, and we can see that the best thermal looks like not easy to find because they are trying different cumuluses.
I've got a question for you. If you were playing Condor, like obviously in the competition, you want to pick the fastest glider, but if you wanted to improve your skills at playing Condor, should you try flying with slower gliders, and or just it doesn't matter?
No, I think that you should get the same gliders as the other pilots.
Yeah, correct.
Speaking about that, when you are, if you want to join us, so it is the last race of the World Series, but we will organize in a few months other competitions like that where anyone is welcome to this competition. We are not regarding the level of the pilots. If you are just a beginner on Condor and on cross-country flying, you can join us, and you have in this race, like the others, the best world pilot champion. So you can just, I think the best way to improve your Condor flying is to have the same glider as the best pilots, and trying to find one of the pilots you know is really good, and you try to catch up and just follow him for the entire race. This is already very good to be able to follow the best pilots. And if you take another another difficulty is to have a glider which is less performant, it will be too difficult to improve. So just take the same glider, try to follow someone you know who is really good at it, and you will learn a lot just doing that.
That
It is,
makes sense. But what about if you were playing with yourself? I guess it makes sense to fly the same glider you would fly in the competition, so you get used to it, or
yeah.
would you spend? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, definitely you should take the same glider as you will find the competition, because I do not have a lot of hours playing Condor. I have more hours commentating it than playing it, but it's like that. But I know that I prefer the Ventus 3 to the GS3 in the 15 meters class, and I know I have not enough training to fly the Ventus 3 above 100 kilogram ballast. I know that before that I know how to fly it, but after it I have some troubles. I have some struggle to take my thermal and to know very well the minimum speed I can fly. So it's too difficult for me. I do not train enough to fly with full ballast in the VT3, but it's like that. So I need to train, and the best thing is to fly the glider you want to fly in competitions, trying different weather, I guess. I think that the best way to improve by your own should be to set up Condor, to change the parameters, and to be able to remember how will be the weather just looking at the parameters. That way, you won't be afraid when you are joining a race. You will know a bit like it will how it will be and what will be your strategy, if you will struggle to find thermals or not. And then when you join a multiplayer competition like that, just try to follow one of the best pilots, and you will learn. You will learn, and maybe one time you will catch up and overtake the pilot you are following. So it will be a great day for you. But it's quite the same as in real life, because I know that it is the same. I do not fly a lot of competitions, but when I fly the regional competition in north of France, I try to catch up one of the pilots. I know he's really great, with a glider approximately the same performance as mine, because one time with my standard Cyrus I tried to catch up an Arcus, and just one thermals after it was it was done. And then I found a Pegas which is approximately the same performance, and yeah, we catch up, and I managed to fly approximately the same speed, but at the end was just a bit higher than him. And with the handicaps, as the Cyrus is not as performant as a Pegas, I overtake him in the ranking. But yeah, in Condor it should be the same thing. Oh,
I
and
suppose in real life, it costs a bit more for an expensive glider, but also the club doesn't want to let you fly a high performance wing if you haven't got so much experience. But
exactly.
the main thing would be that you should always fly something that you're confident and comfortable in, because if you feel like safe and comfortable, then you're going to perform better. But I guess in Condor you don't have to worry about it. It's not so bad if you crash.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you feel bad if you don't know the glider exactly, and if you struggle during the turns and during the lifts, it's yeah, it's not that comfortable when you are flying it, and you can see all the pilots flying it really well, knowing the speed perfectly. Yeah, that's frustrating when you don't have enough training, but as always, train and you will get better, as that's for sure. So we saw Juliet Tango finding maybe the holy lift for him. He was very low, and it is a cumulus a lift about 3 meters per second, so it should be okay for him. We'll see in a few minutes, but as he slowed down, arriving close to the ground, ooh, it's not that great. Okay, Yanis, we wish you all the best. He for sure he will lose sometimes, because right now he just try to survive, getting a bit higher to choose another lift that should be a bit better. Tim Madsen in the leader pilots right now. So Tim is leading a group of pilots. If we can see behind him, yeah,
Oh
that's
well.
what I'm talking about. Don't look back, Tim. Just go straight. Find the communities by your own. And yeah, thank you, Timothy, for this 2D view. So we are in the middle of the second leg of the race 16 of the World Series, the last race. And as we can expect from land of race in flatlands, the pilots are following approximately the path and the task. to each turn point. We will see if some pilots decide to go away from the main gaggle to find their own path and trying another cumulus than the other to make the difference. So yeah, 43 kilometers flown, 45 maybe for the other, to a race of 256 kilometers at total. So if you are joining us in this race, do not forget to send us messages. I can see some message in the YouTube chat. We have Julien Lietard say hello to you all. So Julien is a friend of mine. We are flying Condor each Wednesday and each Sunday together. So hello Julien. Amy P saying hello. North Sky RC and John Davis. How the race is going, please? So we just did an overall view of this race. John Davis, say us if it's okay for you, or if you have any question, please ask in the different chats, whether it's in Twitch or on YouTube. Send us messages to say hello, to ask your question, or to encourage your favorite pilots, because someone tonight or tomorrow will be the champion of the World Series 2023. Low and not climbing that good. That's hard to see all the other pilots crossing your position 2,000 meters above.
For sure.
Arne Martin Gettler, 1,600 meters. So I don't know if the pilots went to the ceiling at the last thermal. Arne Martin Gettler, 800 meters. So we will see. So you can see that right now the pilots are looking to the small cumuluses just to the turn point 2. We have 2 cumuluses just in front of them. And as you said earlier, in Condor you do not have this behavior of the weather that the air mass can go down between the cumuluses, but I think that they are following some line of cumuluses to have a better chance to find the best thermal. Because tonight, if the thermals are a bit tricky to center, they need to have multiple tries to find the best one, the more stable one. And that's why I think that all the pilots in the left right now, the line of pilots, decided to follow the same path to have the best chance to find the best thermal.
I remember Adam in one of his Facebook posts was talking about this huge deviations that he was doing to follow good lines, like going way off the course line, but it still ended up working out being faster, even though he flew a lot further, just because it was a much better line.
Yeah,
less sinking away and more thermals, I guess.
Yeah, in Content 3 or in real life, I think personally that it can be a bit tricky to know if the deviation from your track is just 5 degrees, 10 degrees, 15 degrees, or 13 degrees away. I don't know how to catch to do that, but maybe just putting some lines on my glider to know if my head is approximately in the center. This is 5 degrees, this is 15 degrees. I will try this in the next summer, because I know that depending on the deviation you are doing, you should expect best average climb 1 meters per second more, 2 meters per second more, etc. You can find an array or a curve that gives you the average values expected compared to the deviation. But it is perfection, and maybe in the reality, it's more about feelings. But the books are telling us that. I will try to follow it, even if it's not always like in the books.
I think it was my last flight at Narromine where I wanted to do like a large-ish triangle because it was March already. And as I was flying, I realized that it'd be best not to go for the further turn point, and that I should just start going home. And just after decided that, I got down to, just a couple of thousand feet, and I had to get a low save. But I was pretty confident because it looked like there was a good cloud and nice and sunny nearby. And after I got back to cloud base, I flew the full 80 kilometers back home, just staying at cloud base. It was just awesome. Big clouds. That's part of the reason I wanted to go back, because it looked like it might be thunderstorms and it might shut down later. And yeah, you could just fly the lines and not worry about thermaling.
Yeah. So right now, Martin Erdekens from Belgium turns the turn point 2, and Timothée and Mikko Nurminen followed him closely. It is very interesting because, as far as I know, the next turn point is on their right, and they didn't turn as I expected it. They all decided to go straight because there is a cumulus clouds that looks great. Very interesting. Zulu Lima 7 turned and go straight to the next turn point. Zulu Lima 7, Zelikio Livanic from United Kingdom, number 17 in the overall ranking. And the average speed looks great. Mikko Nurminen. It is not that easy to center. Always a small period where the value is negative. Yeah, it is a small deviation, just a few kilometers away from turn point 2, and the value looks great. It was a very interesting decision. We didn't see that many times in the past races. And Zulu Lima 7, not that high, 600 meters. That's a bit. That's interesting because he was not that high. He was after some great pilots, and he decided to follow his own path. He took a risk because seeing 2, 3, or 4 pilots going straight to a small cumulus was a great advice to climb, but maybe the other pilots are not that high. Also, Marcin May. Maybe, Tim, you can go to Marcin May to see. Yeah, 1,000 meters. It is not that high compared to Australian ceilings.
He's still flying pretty fast, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe, Tim, you can just have a look to the clouds. Maybe they spot a great cumulus. Oof. This one looks like he's
Looks like he's
dying.
dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Zulu Lima 7 stopped here, but it should be a bit tricky to get. Yeah, we can see with the line that he's not climbing that fast. Oof, that is the lift. Wow.
Yeah, I think I'd rather be there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The values are still great. 2 to 3, yeah, maybe 3 meters average speed. And in the chat, we ask for some news of Juliet Tango. Did he manage to climb? So Juliet Tango, I will tell you this, his altitude is he's 500 meters, and he looks that he's climbing. No, no, he's not climbing anymore. Just getting in the same attitude. Where is he right now? I can't find him. Tango. Yeah, he's in the same position as he was before, with not much more altitude, unfortunately. So keep focus, keep believing, and you will try. So look at it. They are leaving the thermals really early compared to the ceiling.
Mm.
That's interesting to see, because maybe the thermals is dying, or it's more difficult to center after 1,000 and 500 meters. I don't know.
So it does that in Condor sometimes. Like it's variable climb rates depending on your altitude, and it's relatively consistent over the day. Is it?
So you can set up the variation of the lift speed, but not depending on the altitude. You
Oh,
can
okay.
set up the power of the thermal. You can set up its variation, but
Yep.
you are controlling the whole landscape. So it is depending on a thermal to another. In a
Yep.
same thermal, you can have a variation of wind and of the position of the thermal. That is some tools you can use to make it difficult to center. But we do not have I think that we do not have any tool to set a power of thermals depending on the altitude. Maybe if Mark or another task setter is in the chat, he can confirm it. Please send us a message if you have the exact information, but I guess I'm right.
Yeah, I'd say that's another thing that sometimes is like that in real life. There might be an inversion like below cloud base somewhere, but yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's not good to go to the ceiling. You have to
Mm.
stop just before, because the few meters before the ceiling are too difficult to climb. You will get your average climb speed dropped and go down, so it's not that good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I received the message. That's exactly what I've said. You do not have a setup to define an average climb speed depending on the altitude, but it's overall on the landscape.
Mm-hmm.
So go to turn point 3. So I saw the name of this turn point, Mullen Gudger, but I don't know if it's in one word or if it is two words separately. I don't know if it's an airfield or what. I don't know Australia that much. We will see on the landscape if it's designed or not. Yeah, you can see that the pilots are following really straight lines between the cumuluses. And there is not a lot of pilots who are following separate path. Donna Pierluigi in the left. Yeah. most of the pilots have turned the second turn point in this task in Australia, following approximately the path to each turn point. Maybe, Tim, if you can zoom out a bit, we can see where we are in the overall task. And there is still meters and still kilometers to fly to the arrival. Yeah, so the main gaggle is ahead of the race right now. Some pilots are following. We can find Victor 88 just struggle a bit during the starts. That's why he's late. Tango Papa and Juliet Tango are struggling a bit too. Juliet Tango is moving or not? Yeah, looks like he is moving. He's still alive. And he's reaching 800 meters.
Wow.
Finally, he's saved. Okay, so now... thank you. Times to times, we will take some news from Yanis to send us a lot of encouragement. Keep believing.
At least he's got some markers in front of him now.
Yeah. And go back to the leaders. Alex Osweider, Alpha Echo X-Ray, was a few seconds ago the highest pilot in the thermal. Now they are 2,000 meters and they can go to the next thermal. Ryan Wood is stopping just a few kilometers after all the others. Yeah, I think that the thermal, it looks like the thermals are dying a bit quickly because they go from a thermals to another a bit quickly. Looks like it's not that easy. Maybe, Tim, you can show us the average speeds for the first pilots, because right near, yeah, exactly, 137 kilometers per hour. This is exactly the average speed we were expecting. So they did not fly the final glide, so the average speed should rise a bit. But that's it. Thank you, Julien, for your comment on YouTube. So speaking about the settings, the weather, etc., he said that from my experience, set a big wind speed difference between the ground and the upper winds lead to thermal, non-homogeneous, and difficult to center. So that's a bit when you are, that's why I explained before, to train Condor, you have to try different setups to know what you can expect from that parameters or that setup, and you won't be afraid or something like that. Don't be surprised.
I remember when I flew Narromine, it was a La Nina, so wet season, and there was just more clouds than usual. Like, it's quite common apparently to have blue conditions there. Still good thermals, but blue conditions. And yeah, it was lots of clouds everywhere. It looked amazing, but some of the clouds weren't working. So yeah, you had to just try to get the good ones.
And you are speaking about the wet season. Can you explain us what are the different seasons in Australia and what it is great to fly or not?
I probably used the wrong terminology. So in the north of Australia, it's more like a monsoon. You have the wet season in summer and the dry season in winter. And in the south of Australia, it's more mid-latitude weather. So you have fronts coming through in winter and spring, mostly, and it tends to be drier conditions in the summer. And what I meant with La Nina is that's the Pacific Ocean thing. So when it's La Nina, there's a lot more warm waters off the east coast of Australia, so you tend to get more flooding and more wet weather.
Mhm.
And in El Nino, the opposite, you have cooler waters off the east of Australia. So that's what we're supposed to have now, even though they did actually have a lot of wet weather a week or two before this competition in real life. It should be a dry phase now, but it has been a La Nina, so a wetter phase the last few years until just recently.
Okay, and a few times ago, just 2 weeks ago, we did a race in New Zealand where you tell us that the wind globally comes from the west and pushing the west of New Zealand. In Australia, as we are opposite, does the wind comes from the west, so it comes from the earth, the terrain, or it's come from the ocean and brings some moisture?
Yeah, so in the southern part of Australia, it's westerlies predominantly, and
Okay.
it's more fronts like in Europe, say. And yeah, when you have the prefrontal weather that's blowing from the northwest, so it blows all across the dry deserts of Australia, and it brings, like Melbourne is the classic place where you get really hot conditions
Yeah.
prefrontal, and then postfrontal it's coming off the ocean that's next to Antarctica. Um, so that's a bit of a difference. You can get a big temperature change in a day there. But in the north of Australia, the weather is it's more tropical. So you have your trade winds in the winter. You've got southeasterly trade winds, and in the summer it can switch around to the northwest and bring the monsoonal flow in with your big like more storm activity and cyclones.
Okay, so it should be, yeah, that should be interesting. And does some pilots try to fly over the middle Australia in the desert or something like that, or they are sticking in the east region?
Yeah, most there's a good gliding. A few clubs in the southwest near Perth. In fact, the winner of the club class and the competition that finished yesterday or the day before, he was from one of those clubs, I believe. And like most of the population in Australia is on the east coast, and a lot of the gliding is a little ways inland. Like I learnt at Kingaroy, which is about 3 hours inland of Brisbane. Um, and I can't remember what your question was now.
If there are some pilots flying in the middle of
Oh,
Australia, because you said that they are in the southwest, in southeast, but
yeah.
in the middle, I don't know if there are a lot of gliders or something like that.
So Narromine is pretty much like dry, flat land to the west, and it was more or less where the moisture barrier was. Like when I was there in La Nina, when the wet season had watered pretty much everything to the east. I can't think if there's any gliding clubs west of there, apart from there was one at close to, well, Alice Springs is basically smack bang in the middle of Australia.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if there's active all the time. Like it could be on and off again, but that club, not many people out there, and I just don't know what the current status is. But definitely the higher population of pilots is a bit closer to the population centres. Like Narromine's a great place to fly. Keep it also. There's a few others I haven't flown, but on the Victorian New South Wales border, so a bit south of here. I learnt in Kingaroy, which is probably about 7 or 8 hours north of here, 3 hours inland, and that's great because we're sort of in between where you've got the tropical weather and where you've got the mid-latitude weather, so the winds are often light and variable, and it's also close enough to the equator, like about 27 south, where you have good flying throughout the year. So someone from our gliding club there has flown 500 kilometers in every month of the year, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. So I went to WeGlide and I filtered the data with Australia, and there is just one cross-country fly in Bond Springs in the middle of Australia, but all the others are on the east coast, as you said, and just one or just a few fly recorded from Beverly in the west. That's all.
Yeah.
Just one fly in Bond Springs, and I can't select it, but it's okay.
Yeah, so Alice Springs, it would be amazing flying out there some of the time because you get super high cloud bases, but it's just a logistics thing. Like with the outlandings is the main problem. But I know Matthew Scudder has done some adventurous trips with his Dyna 2 with the FES on the front. So he's been like going for 3, 4, 5 days at a time, like checking his SkySight forecast and then just following the weather. And yeah, he's been landing at regional airports and then recharging his battery and going again the next day. And because the conditions are so much better, like Kingaroy was like a little bit on the cusp, like it was often bad weather at Kingaroy, but if you went just a few hundred Ks west, you could get in really amazing conditions and be doing 1,000 K flights through the inland. But it's definitely committing with landings. I mean, there's a few airports around, but there's a lot of tiger country as well.
That should be great. So back to the virtual race, we have Tim Madsen, who is going to turn the turn point 3 in the first position. Is 1,000 meters, flying fast in his GS3, 240 kilometers per hour.
Must be pretty close to VNE, huh?
Yeah, yeah, it should be. Followed by Stepan Peritargin, GS3 also a bit lower, but with the same speed approximately. Mikko Nurminen, wow, turning like a F-15 pilot. Just pulling in the stick. Alex Holzweider, they are all about the same altitude right now. And they need to decide which cumulus to target to turn point 4. Yeah, so as we saw, there were some differences in altitude when they were climbing the same lift, and we can find this difference of energy when they spread along the path. Here we can see that the pilots are between the turn point 2 and turn point 3 for most of them, and some pilots just turn the turn point 3, trying to find the best cumulus after it. So again, a very interesting decision because the wind is coming from the southwest right now, so just like that. And the pilots are going in the not the wrong, but the less obvious direction. The wind won't help them to go back on track. Just Mike X-ray going straight to the next turn point. To turn point 4. Yeah, sorry, to turn point 4, there is 60 kilometers to go. So we'll see what will happen in this time. But they are doing a large deviation right now.
I know in the last few weeks, just from hearing some of the reports from the pilots, that there were some areas that there'd been a bit of rain and it just wasn't working quite the same, and you had to fly differently depending on where you were. Yeah, and at times deviations, I guess, were definitely worthwhile. But
Yeah,
interesting that happens in Condor, but I guess it just depends on what the clouds look like, doesn't it?
yeah, exactly. Maybe in the next version of Condor 3. So during the final of the SGP, so the Sailplane Grand Prix in Pavolo in Italy, we Chris from Condor came to do an interview during the races, and he said that the Condor 3 will be released within 6 months. So compared to September, it should be in just a few months right now, in the first months of 2024, we we expect that lots because we are thrilled to see what will be the improvements on the weather and on anything that can be done, because I guess we all love Condor right here, and we are thrilled to we expect that a lot. Back to the race, Michalik Nos a bit low right now, actually. Maybe they didn't find a great thermal, or they didn't manage to catch it. Different strategies, they are spreading a bit. Maybe Tim, can you show us a bit of cumulus just above them? Okay, so there is a line of small cumuluses to the next turn point right now. Okay, that's why. So they went a bit northern than the path, but right now they have a great line to the turn points. It's a bit difficult to see if you are on a small screen, but the turn point is really aligned with the street of cumuluses. And compared to the other on left or on right, it seems to be the best line to find the great thermal of this leg. Some pilots decided to climb because it's a bit low right now, so they have plenty of space to land out. Shouldn't be a problem, but I guess that these pilots, the best pilots, don't want to land out right now. Some news from Janice. Janice turn point 2. He's going to turn point 3 on his own. Keep going. For sure you will finish this race.
Maybe he spotted some Australian wildlife being that low before.
Yeah. But you should go low before the start line if you want to go low at once. So speaking about average and overall results, without the result of race 16, just with the 15th first races, Witold Rozak from Poland is leading the competition right now, followed by the Australian pilot David Redman. Then we have Arne Martin Gaetler, Alpha Mike. Yeah, we saw Alpha Mike just a few seconds away. David Redman is here. We have in fourth position Kilo Mike India, Michalik Nos from Hungary. Then also from Hungary we have Norbert Kist. Then in the position number 6 we have Jarmo Karjalainen from Finland. 7 Marcin May from Poland. 8th position Sandor Lurintiek from Hungary. And position 9 and 10 we have 2 French pilots, Patrick Médard and Emmanuel Cartier. All the pilots flown almost all the races. For the first leaders, they've flown 14 races on 15 because there are only 15 races scored in the Condor Club right now. So just one race missed from all the others, all the pilots. That's really great to see when you organize a race, when you organize the live stream, etc. You have plenty of pilots who are following what you are doing all along the year, because the World Series began in Mexico. It was 9th of February 2023. Then we went to Canada, Morocco, South Africa, Germany, United Kingdom, Greece, USA, Spain, Denmark, Poland, Brazil, Chile, Japan, New Zealand, and then we are in Australia for the last race of this amazing journey. it was amazing to see all the different landscapes and to fly all over the world. Mars in May, they are not flying that high, but they slow down. Stepan, really, really low. Be careful not to crash with the kangaroo.
Yep. Another place I flew not too far from here, they often have kangaroos coming onto the runway in the evening. So if you're coming back late, they send out a golf cart to scare them all away.
Yeah, in France it's sometimes rabbits, but not kangaroos. Yeah, looks difficult. So the ground is 200 meters, as we can see. It is a recent measurement, no doubt about that. So some pilots who were just 500 meters above, actually it is not that high. You can see PM6 and all the others. Wow. We can see that the pilots spread out. They are all looking for something to climb. Yeah, compared to the other legs, we can see that they are searching. Mars in May should not be that high if he went away from all the others. Yeah, Mars in May, so Mike Alpha Yankee is 800 meters from the sea level. So just remove 200 meters, so 600 meters from ground. Not that high. And 77 Sierra, we saw it. Mike X-ray. Mike X-ray, 360 meters. Not that high. It may be a key moment right now because the first pilot we saw are quite low, and maybe we will see other pilots behind but above who manage well their energy. I don't know if Charlie November, 900 meters, Kilo Mike India 600 meters, Vitol Drozak Whiskey Romeo Whiskey is 800 meters. So yeah, the first gaggle looks like they are really, really low. Just have a look behind. Well, look, you can see that Zulu Bravo Yankee follow all the leaders right now, and Zulu Bravo Yankee is 1,850 meters. So he's way above all the others, and he's above at the same position. So I think that in a few kilometers, he will be higher than all the pilots who are struggling to find something. And they look that they don't find anything. Maybe we can go to the 3D view with TKM and the others. Oof, that's difficult. Look at the speed. And Stepan will call his friend, grab the trailer, wait, and enjoy your way back. Oh my God, Tim Madsen is so low, just a few meters from the ground. The speed is decreasing 130 kilometers. And look at that. Just behind some pilots, some hunters behind Zulu Bravo Yankee coming high. This is a glorious moment for him. He took his time to climb before, and now Zbigniew, what a great move to climb before. Now he can see who is going to climb, because you have pilots everywhere. So Zbigniew.
And how does it look to the Condor pilots? Because for us, you can see the gliders are all labelled, and sometimes you can see the tracks if you're close enough. Can they see like little? How do they see the glider pilots? Same as us? Or?
Yeah, so when you are flying your own glider in Condor in multiplayer like that, you can see the competition number of the other pilots like that with the blue font, but you
Yep.
can't see the line before
Okay.
after
Yeah.
the pilots. So you don't know the average climb speed of the pilots.
Yep.
The only thing you can see if is if they are just below the ground, or if they are climbing, but you don't have anything to measure the average speed. Or if you are speaking in another with another tool, you can tell or ask your friends what is the average speed if you are flying as a team, because
Yep.
Bistek is a Polish pilot, but we don't know if he's speaking with the other.
Yep.
Maybe not, because we have Vito Drozak, Whiskey Romeo Whiskey on the left. He's climbing, maybe not that fast. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. On a full turn, we have maybe an average value of 3 meters, which is the average value of tonight's race. So it looks great. So maybe if you have any question in the chat, you can ask it. If you are very technical question about Condor or flying cross country, you can ask us. If you want to know the position and the altitude of one of the pilots, you can ask us also. But right now,
It's interesting how it seems to be most of them have gotten far too low. It's not like half the group or anything. Like there's a few
yeah,
that are doing well, but most of them are in trouble.
yeah, you're right. And some pilots who went really low spend a lot of time to find the great thermal. Now we can see that they are just 2 or 3 goggles, but a few minutes ago they were spread out in the landscape. We've flown 150 kilometers, so we have 100 kilometers left. At the end, there will be just one winner. We will see. We have some pilots, well-known pilots, David Redman, Yarmo Emmanuel, who are coming. I don't know. I will look at the. So Emmanuel Cartier, Eco-Quebec, is coming with an altitude of 2,000 meters. And maybe this is his time to catch up, because he have 10 kilometers to fly to the other pilots. And he will arrive approximately at the same altitude. And the first pilots lost a lot of time. Emmanuel will arrive selecting the best group. This is a great advantage to have a better rank at the end of the day. So for tonight's race, the race and the start was a regatta start, which means that the start opened at a precise time, and your average speed all along the task begin when the start line open. But at the end, the points are given compared to the average speed. It's not like the SGP where you have 10 points, then 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Here you have your points depending on your average speed. So tonight, the first pilot who crossed the finish line will be the first. But if you have a small gap, if you're if the second pilot have a small gap compared to the first one, the points will be really close at the end.
And how's the average speeds looking at the moment? Because they've been slow for a while, being so
Yeah,
stuck so low.
really great question.
Oh, still pretty good.
Yeah,
I guess they're going to be good if they've pushed along and they haven't climbed yet. I mean, it takes some
yeah.
time to climb up, so yeah.
I can't remember if Alex Alpha Echo X-Ray was in the gaggle who were struggling really low. Maybe he had just a few hundred meters more than the other, and he managed to fly away from this group. What is this? So right now, Alex is 950 meters high. That's okay compared to a few minutes ago, but it's not that high because we have approximately 2,500 meters of cloud base. And
And sometimes the way you think about it is how many meters you need to climb to finish the task, like based on a certain McCready speed, I suppose.
and just a few minutes ago, Timothy tell us an info that someone just lent out, but I can't remember who it was. So TKM lend out. Maybe we have a view, but Tim Madsen. Oh, he already disconnected. So Tim Madsen from Denmark is at over rank 35. Tim Madsen. So he may lose some points tonight because we have great pilots. Thomas Meyer is 37. Januszak is 40. Donna Pierluigi is 42. Yeah, maybe tonight he will lose some position on the overall rank. We will see. Kilometers
Yeah.
per hour. Not as fast as a few times ago.
In the recent world gliding thing at Narromine, I wonder what the highest finishing result over the whole competition was for anyone that did at least one land out. It's, I would say, well, maybe none of those who landed out got in the top 10 at the end. Just guessing, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. One big mistake and you are done.
Yep.
Well, that's what we are talking about. The paths of all the pilots are really spread out compared to the other legs. They went really low compared to the other legs, and so they needed to look for a great thermals to be back in the race. We can see that Zulu Bravo Yankee on the right catch up the leaders. David Redman too. He was a bit late, but now he's back. So speaking about their altitude, David Redman is 1,400 meters. Zulu Bravo Yankee is 1,900 meters. So maybe he stopped just a bit to get back to the ceiling and now go back to turn point 4. So maybe we can go back to David Redman or Zulu Bravo Yankee. David Redman, great position. And yeah, so a few minutes ago, we look at the average speeds. Alex Alpha Echo X-Ray was the first pilot, but just a bit low, and David Redman and the other just cross his position, going to turn point 4. And we can see that the speeds are the speeds we can expect from this race from a cumulus to another, 230 kilometers per hour to 240 kilometers per hour. Zbigniew is really great.
So David Redman was an Australian pilot, you said?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know if he flies in real life? Because I wonder if he's flown Neremon in real life.
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know if someone can tell us on the chats if he knows David Redman, or I will look at the Discord, because we have a Discord to speak about the competition or our real flight. But I don't know if David said us stuff like that.
And where's this pilot from?
Zbigniew is from Poland. Yeah.
Ah, yes. Yep.
He's part of the Polish gang. Zbigniew is now 21 on the overall rank. David Redman is the second pilot of the overall rank. So great performance all along the races. Great to see.
And that ranking you're talking about, is that based on these 16 races, or it's more than that?
No, it's based on 14 races of the 16. So you can miss 2 races on the overall competition.
Okay.
Arne Martin Gettler, GS3, great speed to go from turn point 3 to turn point 4, reaching all the other pilots. So the few minutes we just lived were game changing, because a lot of pilots went really low, and they needed to find a thermal, so their average speed were decreased a lot. At the same time, some pilots manage their energy differently. They climbed before and they were a bit late compared to the progression and the distance flown. But at the end, the amount of potential energy allow us to join the leaders who were low, who lost time to climb. Now Papa Juliet is great, he's high and he's good position. So Papa Juliet is Pierre-Jean Vincent from France. He's actually number 12 on the overall score, and he's really great. We have Zbigniew and Pierre-Jean Vincent with Hotel Golf 1. Hotel Golf 1, who is Ryan Wood from Canada. We'll see, because apparently not being the first was a good thing, because you can find the best position to climb when all the other pilots have already found it. But right now they catch up the gap to the first pilots, and they are leading the race. They need to decide for the other. They need to find the thermals for the other. And pilots like Vito Drozak, Whiskey, will hunt this type of behavior, and they will know what to do. Less than 100 kilometers to fly. And a great thermal to get full potential energy before turning turn point 4.
So if there's only 100 kilometers to fly, then 2 kilometers AGL, a glider 50 to 1 will get you home, wouldn't it? So can't be too far till the final glide.
Yeah, we have two. Speaking about Ryan Wood right now, he has about. So we need to cross the finish line at an altitude of 500 meters QNH. So you have to remove 500 meters from this altitude, so he has about 1,700 meters to fly, and distance to fly is about 80 kilometers. We will see how we manage it. Maybe going low is okay, but going at 240 kilometers per hour, you will need to find other thermals. And this is all the challenge for tonight, finding the great thermal, especially when you are in the first position and you lead the race.
Totally. But you'd think in 80 kilometers, you must bump into something.
Yeah. The wind won't help them for the final legs because the facing component will be higher than right now. The wind is now pushing a bit them from the right and the back right, but for the next leg, it will be that we face it a bit more. They will be on their rights.
So if you take any thermals, you'll be drifting in the wrong direction.
Yeah, exactly. So if you are joining us right now, we are on the last race of the World Series 2023 in Australia, race 16, and Ryan Wood will turn point 4 in the first position with 180 kilometers flown. Is well placed 2,000 meters, and that's done. Great flight from Ryan. Great management of his energy. So Pierre-Jean Vincent crossed the turn point just a few seconds before Ryan, and Marcin May is turning it in the third position. Oh, they are all turning left. Okay, no. Maybe they turned just a bit too much. Chris Pearson decided to climb behind the turn point. Zbigniew and Witold on the top right of your screen. Two Polish pilots are in good position, high and fast. Zbigniew a little bit lower, but Witold will turn the turn points at 2,000 meters, just as the Canadian pilots. That's it. Ryan was just 100 meters below, and Norbert Kist, same altitude approximately. And that's it. So right now you can see that turn point 5 is on your screen right now. So it is just a control point, a reporting point before turning right and finish on Narromine. So they will try to find a great cumulus before this control point. I think that just one lift or two lifts will be enough. What do you think, Nick?
Yep, just a little top up or two on the final glide, yeah. But you want to be, yeah, I mean, you don't want to be arriving way above 500 meters. It's just a waste, isn't it? So,
yeah.
You think if you're getting close to that 500 meters, you can always pull back your speed a little bit, but yeah.
A pilot can arrive just a bit higher and cross your position at the end. So John Davis sent us a message on the chat saying how GHK Stewart and Charles is doing. So we'll get back to him just in a few minutes. Looking at the 2D view, we can see that all the pilots are following each other, turning the turn point 4. Just after a period of low flying, and you can see that the the drawn lines are a bit a mess from turn point 3 to turn point 4 before getting back together. They are now, I think, in a great altitude to go to the next turn point and to find a great thermal. But be careful not to go too low. It is not that great for your average speed. And get back with Stewart and Shaw, a bit late compared to the first pilot, but he's really great. Great altitude. I think he will turn the turn point at 1,900 meters. Great average speed. Oh, maybe you will try to find a thermal before turning the turn points, because we can see there is a shadow on the ground. Yeah, just a small cumulus. This is quite clever, because if he managed to go to the ceiling with this cumulus and with this lift, maybe the wind will push him into the turn point, and it won't be a problem to face the wind in the next leg. And nobody took this decision. He's the first one to try it.
I was
We'll
thinking the
see.
same thing. Like if he gets it before the turn point, he can drift towards the turn point. But if he does it afterwards, he'll be drifting backwards.
Yeah, exactly. And the variometers does not look great. It was minus 10, so maybe a bit difficult. But there it is. Stewart and Shaw keep going in this race. David Renman, after 9 pilots, so looks like he's at the position number 10 right now. Just speaking about distance flown, obviously he's in a better position than some of the lowest pilots right now, Marcin May, Pierre-Jean Vincent, Pama, Mike 6, and others. Ryan and Vitold are fighting. They are about the same altitude, the highest pilots. The final glide will be decisive. I think the rival will be short.
I noticed in the real competition in Narromine, there was quite a few AAT, is it area assigned tasks,
Yeah.
where it basically means you can choose how long the task is in distance, depending on how well you think the conditions are working. But you've got a limited time period. I mean, it's not limited, but if you say they have 3 hours, if you take 3 hours and 5 minutes, then you're going to be using the best 3 hours and 5 minutes of the day. If you take 4 hours, then you're using 1 hour that's not as good. So it's best to try and finish in that time. And one of the reasons they do it is if they're not really sure about the weather and if some area is going to be shut down with storms or if it might not work as well, then it's up to the pilots in the air to decide how far to go. And but I know it doesn't give you the same sense of racing because you don't. It's more difficult to figure out how far other people have gone and if they're planning what they're planning and all that kind of thing. So I was just wondering if you guys ever use that in these races, because I can see it's a bit more like a bit more of a race if you're all starting at the same time and it's clear what's going on. But on the other hand, maybe it's good practice for playing tactics as you would in those AAT tasks in a competition. Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it is a great question, because AAT tasks are very interesting in real life for so many reasons. But in Condor, you do not have the tools implemented to do AAT task. Just native Condor, I'm speaking. You need, if you want to be performant in AAT task, you need to plug in other tools like LK8000 or XSOR, and
Okay.
it is not that easy for everyone to plug it in. And as you just said, it is okay for the training, but for the entertainment is not that great, because at the end
Yeah.
you don't know who is gonna win. It is
To
almost
find
the
out the
case.
results when they put it in the computer, like an hour after it's finished.
Yeah, exactly. It is almost the case right here, because you can have some penalties, but it is
Yeah.
minor compared to looking at the competitors. When
Yeah.
you open the gate for 30 minutes, it is it is difficult to comment and to entertain because you don't know who's gonna win. Maybe the winner is the last who start the start line. So it is
Yep.
too difficult. The regatta start for this competition has been designed to give a better entertainment and a better stream for
Yep.
sure. Uh, but maybe in the next version of Condor 3, I don't know if they decided to implement tools inside of Condor to do AAT task. For
Yep.
example, in the GPS in the computer of Condor, when you are setting turn points with a cycle of 15, 20 kilometers radius, you just know when you are going inside or outside. You don't know how many kilometers you've flown inside of the turn point. So
Mm.
it's really difficult to evaluate what is your average value or the distance you've flown, because the distance flown in Condor is just computed from the center of each turn point.
Yep.
So yeah, with native Condor, it's too difficult to train. You have to plug other tools. But we did some races like that because in France during the lockdown of COVID, there were few races organized, especially in north of France. We organized the first virtual regional competition, and we did some AAT, and it was really difficult. So during the COVID, it was more fun than competitive because we were just pilots who were annoying in the house. So we speak together, we give us advice during the races, but it was difficult for most of the pilots.
Yep.
So we didn't bring this type of race in the World Series. Obviously, not in the Separate Grand Prix, but even if in national competitions, it is not that used due to the lack of tools of numerical tools in Condor. It's too difficult to manage.
Yep. Oh, fair enough. Good answer. Interesting.
Yeah. Speaking about that, in 1 month approximately, there will be the French National Esport Championship in Condor 3. So it is at the end of January, and we will see the best pilots, the best French pilots fighting for the title. France, as other countries, decided to give a title for the championship of e-racing in glider using Condor 2. So we will see. Apparently, there won't be any IAT for the lack of tools, like I said.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, we will see if there are good race and what type of race they will do in the mountains or in the flatlands. We will see. This is
Excellent.
the next national competition. I don't know for the other countries. Obviously, as I'm French, I know a bit more in my own country, but in Germany or something or some borders country, I don't know if during the winter they organize national competitions like that. Maybe in the chats you can tell us if you are from another country than France, and if you know that there are national competitions of e-racing in glider, you can tell us if they are organized, when, and by who. It's very interesting because right here we are commentating with the FAI label, so it is worldwide, and we help to develop the Condor community all around the world. That's why we did the World Series. We tried to fly in all continents, even in countries where the glider is not that developed, to discover landscapes and discover the way of flying. As an example, when we were in Canada in February, two commentators from Canada went to our place, to our seat, and they help us to discover how they fly in Canada, where they fly in Canada, what is the period of flying. It was really, really interesting. The landscape over there are amazing to see. And yeah, they invited me in Canada to fly, but if I invited in all the countries where we are playing in the World Series, I need to gain a lot more money to earn more money. Okay, back in the race. So yeah, the first pilots, Ryan and Vitold, are great. David Redman, Zbigniew, Alpha Mike and Martin, Irmis, Zulu Lima 7 also going to turn point 5, the reporting point. So, thank you team for this 2D view. We are in the middle of the last long leg, because from turn point 4 to turn point 5, there is 54 kilometers to fly. And we have just a few kilometers away from the arrival. I saw that the pilots are about 1,500 meters. So as they need to cross the finish line at 500 meters, they have 1,000 meters of potential energy to use. And maybe if you can go to the 3D view, we will see the remaining distance to fly. Okay, so yes, thank you team. For Martin, the Belgian pilots, 220 kilometers flown, so 35 kilometers to fly is low. It won't be enough. He needs to find a great thermal. Maybe he spotted it, because I saw that all the pilots are going straight to the same position. We will see if there is something great, but with our experience of this last hour of flying, going low is not a great idea. Some pilots struggle a lot to leave the lower positions.
Yeah, in general, in the flats, it's a bit harder to figure out where the thermals are coming from, especially if you're a long way from the clouds. You can't line it up so easily as if you're close to cloud base, just joining dots. So yeah.
Yeah, and in Condor we have the landscape like we can see here, so the satellite image of the country, but we have also the thermal landscape, which is like exactly the same, but a landscape that gives us the information of if it's a field, or if it's a mountain, or if it's a forest, to give the tools, the software, the information of where the lift can start or not. So it is sometimes really well defined. Sometimes it's a bit difficult to do it, because on the whole landscape it's too difficult to define manually where it is field, where it is forest, where it is cities, etc. Great job. I take the time to thank all the people working on these landscapes, because the level 1 of landscapes making is just taking the satellite image and putting it in a landscape. But we know a lot of people who are planting the trees manually in some region to make it more realistic, and it is a real work. It takes a lot of time. Multiple hours are spending doing the landscape. So I would like to thank every people who are working on this job. Condor is a great community. Anyone
Yeah,
who
that's quite cool how they model it on the surface. Yeah.
Yeah, anyone who want to help is welcome to develop some tools, to develop some landscapes, to develop libraries, to come in the race, to do the race. It's a lot of people working to manage to do that. And okay, so Timothy show us Zbigniew, and Zbigniew turn right with a hard deviation from the turn point. It is quite strange. At the end, the thermal is really great, but the decision is quite strange. You have to go straight to this position when it is not on the path. Yeah, really great sense of knowing the tool to see accumulators that will give you a great thermal for sure. Papa Maxi, David Redman, not that high. Vitor Rozak, 1,200 meters. Need to cross the finish line at 500 meters. 700 meters to go. And just 26 kilometers to fly. You see that the speed has been decreased by 50 kilometers per hour. A few times ago, they were flying almost at the VNE at 240 kilometers per hour. And now I think that they are betting on the fact that they won't find another great lift. So they decide to decrease a bit the speed to increase the glide ratio. So Vito Drozak will turn the control point, the reporting point, before going straight to the finish line. But a few minutes ago, Ryan was not that far from Vitold. On the last thermal, he was the same altitude. And unfortunately for Ryan, maybe the pass he chose wasn't better than the one Vitold chose, and is a bit lower, a bit below, and after Vitold. Maybe team, yes, you can go back to Vitold, who is turning the reporting point in first position right now. 1,000 meters, just 20 kilometers to go to the finish line, followed by Ryan Wood from Canada, approximately same altitude, but same speed. So about the same amount of energy. Martin Erdekens from Belgium, he is lower. It will be difficult because he's already under the safe altitude for the finish line. Norbert Kiss, 1,000 meters, crossing turn the control point. And maybe Tim, you can show us where is the finish line. Yeah, it is on the left. That's why I want to aware all the viewers. They are going straight to the finish line right now. So before the pilots reaching the finish line, maybe if you want to have any news of one racing pilot, you can tell us in the chat if you want to have informations about the pilots you love the most.
Does Condor do that thing where if you're at a higher altitude, your speed over ground is slightly higher because the air's thinner?
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't make much difference, but yeah.
Yeah, it's computed the difference between indicated airspeed and the ground speed. Depending on the altitude, it is done.
Okay, cool.
That's why
it doesn't stop these guys pushing on fast and low though.
Yeah. And the speed displayed on the screen right now is ground speed. That's why maybe you have important speed when the pilots are high, because you have this difference between indicated and ground speed.
And also the wind, I guess.
Yeah, obviously.
Could be helping them a bit, yeah.
Arne Martin Gettler, 1,000 meters, a few kilometers before the turn point. Maybe we'll need a few meters to go to the finish line safely, because he's pushing 200 kilometers per hour. Pitold on his way, on his final glide to win this race, I guess. Mikko Nurminen following the order. Maybe team, you can show and display the lines for a longer period to see if he's approximately on the same amount of energy as the other. Yeah, this is the path of the final glide. Speaking about altitude and position, you can see on the ground some shadows showing the path to the finish line, maybe for the one who don't have a lot of energy. So just keep up, because there is a lot of pilots turning the control point, sorry. Maybe Tim, you can go to Stewart and Schall, Jarmo Karialainen, Alex, Anne Martin, Emmanuel Cartier, David Redman. So
given how close the scores were in the 15-meter class in real life, I think you would think that the races are a little bit closer than this. I mean, there's a pretty good spread today, isn't there?
yeah, they are a bit spread out compared to what we could imagine.
Yep.
I don't know what was the average speeds in the real life. 130, 140, 140. So yeah, the average speeds tonight is almost the same as in the real life.
Yeah, I remember seeing some similar speeds.
Yeah.
On the 15-meter class, anyway. The other classes were more like 110 a
Yeah,
lot of the
obviously.
time.
Yeah, for example, on the race 6 on real life, Adam Woolley achieved an average speed of 151 kilometer per hour. That is
Wow.
great. that is great, and that's what Witold Rozak managed to do tonight. Witold is about to cross the finish line with a great amount of safe altitude. He need to cross it above 500 meters, and managing the speed and the altitude, he will do it really, really well.
Perfect.
Witold Rozak crossing finish line right now at the first position of this race 16 of the World Series. And as Witold was the first on the average, on the overall rank, I think he is our winner of this competition. But there is still two servers to do, two races to do, one at 1 a.m. and in the other morning at 11 a.m. speaking about European time. So yeah, this is great fly for Witold. Norbert Kies
Pretty
is
close to the limit. He's got some
yeah,
pull up still, but
exactly. But he has some speed. The GS3 is able to fly a bit lower than that, so managing the energy really well and crossing the finish line in the second position. But where is we lost our Canadian pilot? Where is Ryan? And Zeliko Ivanic, the Great Brittany pilot, cross the finish line, third position, and they're done. But where is Ryan? we lost him. He was second just a few minutes ago. And now Mikko Nurminen will cross the finish line, position number 4. He has a bit attitude to give before finishing. Yeah, so maybe Ryan disconnect because he don't move anymore. So maybe he had a technical issue, unfortunately. Ryan isn't on the server anymore. Mikko Nurminen crossing the finish line. He need to pull up. Yeah. And that's okay. At the end, it is okay. So fourth position. And for the fifth one, I am looking. Irimis from Lithuania. Jarmo Karilainen. Emmanuel Cartier Alpha. Eko Isre Alex. Vic Schoenemakers from Netherlands. Kilo Oscar Echo. Finish the race. Stewart and Charles. We need to pull up. Papa Americ 6. Martin Erdekens from Belgium managed to finish the race. And Stewart and Charles will be the next finisher. But there is Arne Martin approximately at the same position on his right. Yeah. We finish together. Stewart and Charles and Arne Martin. "12 pilots have finished the race right now. The next one is David Renman, I guess, and Marcin May. Okay, Pierre-Jean Vincent. Kilo Mike India. Mihaly Gnos. Janus crossing the finish line. So maybe Tim, you can display the final average speeds for the first pilots who cross the finish line. Vito Drozak 149 kilometers per hour is leading this race, and yeah, the 21st pilots were above 140 kilometers per hour. This is what was expected compared to the weather and the task. So yeah, great flight from everybody, great time, and sometimes it was a bit scary to see how the pilots went really low and how the game changed at this time between the turn point 3 and turn point 4. Some pilots were a bit late, but finally they managed well their energy to cross the finish line in first position. Unfortunately for Ryan from Canada, we don't have any news about about him. I hope he doesn't have a technical issue that made Condor crash or stuff like that. Hope for him. And that's it. How did you find this race, Nick?
Oh, it's pretty good. I mean, the scenery wasn't as good as New Zealand, but yeah, it was interesting to see how people pushed too hard and got low and got a bit stuck, and there was a few landouts as well. So yeah.
Yeah, you are right. Great pilot, TKM, Tim Hudson, did a land out, and other pilots too. So a great race with a lot of key moments. And this is an important moment for us because we managed to organize races all along the year. It was the last race commented with you, Nick. Thank you everything, Nick, for commenting the last 3 races with us.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been good to see a bit more about Condor, and yeah, that there's all this community out there doing these things. So yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of things to show in the next year. We will be there with Condor 2 or Condor 3. We will see. We will have a lot of things to organize, races or more fun stuff and more professional stuff. You will see what we are working on. Thank you for every pilots joining us at each race. A lot of pilots racing with us. The pilots are made the show really great and really intense at each race. It is really great to follow, really great to comment. I don't have the list of all the commentators during the year, but thank you Antoine, thank you Norman, and thank you all the other working in the background. Thank you Tim for all the background stuff in during the lives. Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, the task setter, the landscape maker, and everyone who worked on the program. We will see you next year in 2024 with brand new stuff. And this was Jean-David, and thank you everyone for this job. Thank you. Bye. See you next year.